section 8.6. There's some up there. And we're going to solve rational equations. This is a standard in our state standards, of course. So we're going to solve rational equations. So yesterday we simplified, multiplied, and divided rational expressions. And remember that a rational expression is just a fraction with variables in it. Okay? Sometimes they're monomials, sometimes they're polynomials, but a rational expression is just a fraction with variables. So today we're going to solve rational equations. So they're just fractions with variables. And we're going to start with the simple ones like this. So this is just two rational expressions set equal to each other. And we already said that a rational expression is a fraction. Try and teach. That's nothing. So a rational expression is a fraction with variables in it. And anytime we have two fractions set equal to each other, that's called a proportion. And y'all have done proportions since you were like in 7th grade or even sooner, when you would cross multiply to solve a proportion. Y'all remember that? They were a lot simpler back then because you didn't have all these variables. But what we're going to do to solve these proportions is cross multiply. So cross multiply means you take this numerator and multiply it times this denominator. So I'm going to set this up, 3 parentheses, 4x plus 5. No. And then then we cross multiply this side, which is going to be 9 times x plus 1. So you set it up. This one times this one equals this one times this one. Okay? So when we solve those, I need to distribute these on both sides and solve it for x. All right, so I'm going to distribute that. 3 times 4x is what? 12x. 3 times 5 is? And then the other side, 9 times x is? And 9 times 1 is? 9. And I'm solving the little bitty baby equation. Get my x's together. Don't that sound like a fun party? Nope. 12x minus 9x is 3x. I would croak. And then I would subtract 15. And 3x equals what? Negative 6. Divide by 3. And x equals negative 2. That's it. So you cross multiply both sides, distribute both sides, and then solve it for x. Okay? That's it. We're finding answers today. That's right. We're solving equations. Anytime you solve an equation, you're finding x equals blah, blah, blah. All right, here's another one. 7 over x minus 2 equals 11 over 2x minus 10.
14x.
No, you don't skip in no steps.
No.
No. Cross multiply. So you need to have 7 parentheses, 2x minus 10 equals what on the other side?
11x.
Parentheses. Very good.
14x minus 70 equals 11x minus 22.
Y'all are showing out today. Proud of you.
Why can't you write that down?
Because here's what will happen if people don't write that down. Is people won't distribute it all the way through. They'll do 7 times 2x is 14x and then copy down minus 10 and not make it negative 70. That's why. I've been doing this 11 years. I know that's what happens. Okay? That's why I want you to go ahead and write it down and then distribute it. And then then we get those x's together. 3x minus 70 equals, and then what?
Add 7. And then we're going to use 48.
3x equals 48, and then we do what?
Divide by
16.
Divide by 3, and x equals 16.
So they gonna throw some variables up in there.
Oh, they gonna throw some extra everything in there in just a minute. Let's do one that's really easy because I think you got some of these really easy ones on your homework. And here's one even easier. 3 over 5x equals 2 over x minus 7. So that looks a lot smaller.
3 got parentheses. X minus 7 close the parentheses. Put the 2 dashes.
You being obnoxious.
2
Equals what?
2 parentheses 5x.
Yeah, but you can go ahead and multiply those because you don't have to distribute. So what is 2 times 5x? 10x. Good. Then what do you have to do on the left-hand side?
3x minus 21.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 21.
Equals 10x. Then what?
Bring minus 3x.
Get your x's together.
So negative 21 equals 7x.
And then what?
Negative 3.
Divide by 7. Excuse me. And that is negative 3. Very good. So that one's a really simple one. Any questions about those? All right, I'm going to give you one of these to try on your own paper real quick before we get into the more difficult things. This ain't difficult. This is less.
No, this ain't even good.
This is pre-algebra. Y'all did this stuff in pre-algebra.
This ain't even math. It's called math.
It's called math. This ain't math. You got variables. It's not math. It's algebra. All right. Y'all do that one. I got a protein shake.
I can't. It's too big. My mom said. I got a question. It might be sound dumb, but this when I multiply, don't I put negative 4 times negative 3?
Yeah. It's negative times negative, which is a positive.
On them days at the end of the life.
That's all of them. Oh. Class of
That's the thing, we took like a glove anyway.
Lord have mercy. Yes.
Okay, 5 times.
I ain't worked it yet, so I don't know.
5 times x plus 3 close parentheses.
What? Hey, let Jared finish. He's working on it. Go ahead. Go ahead.
You should give us turns to get the right on the computer.
Yeah.
You're not even taking your turn to write on your paper.
Yeah, but I
Why would you write up here if you won't even write on your paper?
Because we know it, You know some of it. We know how to cross multiply.
Okay, well, fix and give you something you don't know in a minute.
Don't do it. Please don't. Here you go. Okay.
Where are all my notes right here?
he's done.
Look, done.
Shake it, make it go.
I have evidence.
5 times.
All right, go ahead.
5 times.
What?
X plus 3, which is 5 equals negative 4 times
3x minus 3. Okay.
plus 5x plus 15 equals negative 4 plus 12.
Then what do I do?
And then you add your signs together.
Add 4x to both sides. What's 4x plus 5x? x plus 15 equals
12.
12. And then what do I do?
Subtract 15 from 12.
And what is
Negative 3.
9x equals negative 3? Then what do I do?
Then you're going to do divide by 9.
And what is negative 3 divided by 9?
One of those
Yeah, fun words.
1 over 3.
Negative 1/3. Very good. Raise your hand if you got negative 1/3. Good. Good job. All right. So that's how you do it when it's set up to be like a proportion. So next, it's going to be a little bit more difficult, challenging. I'll try to use challenging. This is not as negative of a term. 5 over x plus 7 over 4 equals negative 9 over x. Now, y'all, we're adding and subtracting fractions here. Okay? We're adding and subtracting rational expressions, which are fractions. And remember, from elementary school, anytime you added or subtracted fractions, you had to get a common denominator. All right. So same thing here. We've got to get a common denominator. Well, let's look at all of our denominators. I've got an x and a 4 and an x. All right. So my least common denominator needs to have a 4 in it and an x in it, because those are the denominators I've got. Right? So my least common denominator is going to be 4x. LCD is least common denominator. That's going to equal 4x. So what you have to do with that least common denominator is multiply everything on both sides of this equation by 4x. Now that's going to cancel out your denominators and leave you with your numerators. Okay? But look at the first fraction. It already has an x in the denominator. Y'all see that? The first one already has the x, so all you have to multiply times the numerator is the 4. Okay? So you take your common denominator, and whatever part it already has, you multiply by the other part. So what is 4 times 5?
20.
20. So write down 20. Copy your plus. Now look at your second fraction. It already has the 4. So it needs the what?
X.
It needs the x. So it's got the 4, so you need the x. So what is 7 times x? 7x. Y'all see what I'm doing? I'm saying which part of the common denominator I need. And then the last one after the equal sign, it has the what? So it needs the 4. So what's negative 9 times 4? Negative 36. So now look at our equation. It's a lot simpler because it's not fractions anymore. Are y'all with me? So we only have one x, so we have to get it by itself.
Negative 20 on one side.
So we subtract 20 on both sides. So 7x equals what? No, it's not. It's negative 56. And then what do we do? Divide by 7 on both sides, and x equals
8. Negative 8.
negative 8. So what you want to do is you want to find your least common denominator by seeing what all your different denominators are. And then whatever part that fraction doesn't have in the denominator, you multiply that part times the numerator. And that gets rid of all your denominators for you to solve for x. Okay? So that's what we're gonna be doing the whole rest of this class is problems like this. So hopefully if it's still fuzzy, you will catch on shortly.
Yes, ma'am.
So here's another one very similar. 2 over x. It's all there. What'd you say? It's not that complicated. Once y'all practice it, it'll be easy. 2 over x plus 4/3 equals 2. And that last one don't have a denominator.
So put 2 over 1.
Yeah, but you don't even have to bother with that.
So our least common denominator is going to be 3.
And So our least common denominator is 3x. So whatever your different denominators are, that's what you need in the least common denominator. So we're going to multiply everything on both sides of the equal sign by 3x. And if it already has that part of the denominator, then you multiply the numerator times the other part. So this first fraction already has an x, so it needs the what? 3. What is 3 times 2?
6.
So that one's going to be 6. Copy your plus. Now this denominator has the what?
And the x.
3, so it needs the x. So what's x times 4? 4x. And that last one didn't have any denominators, did it? So it needs both of them. So what's 2 times 3x? 6x. Does that make sense to everybody? Does everybody see how I got rid of all denominators that way?
Yes, ma'am.
And then what do I do?
Subtract 4x on both sides.
Very good. So that gives me 6 equals 2x. And then I divide by 2 and get what? 3. Does that make sense to anybody?
So, I'm sure they're going to give us one that has 2 different numbers in the denominator.
Well, not just numbers, but polynomials.
How you gonna know which one least common denominator?
We'll tell you. Let's do one number 6. Oh, I'm feeling your oats today or something. It's like,
my Cheerios this morning.
I know, it's like an old people term, isn't it? Feeling your
So,
oats. All right, so first thing we need is our least common denominator.
2.
So what all different things do I have in my denominators? And
numbers.
specifically,
2s and 1s.
y'all are killing me. 2x is one of my denominators. What's one of my other denominators that I didn't already mention?
1 and x.
2x.
X plus 1.
Oh.
Those are my denominators, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So your least common denominator needs all of your different denominators. This one's repeated, okay?
2x squared.
In a minute. So my least common denominator needs, on this one, 2x times x plus 1. And on both sides I do that. Multiply it times 2x times x plus 1. Now, what denominator does the first fraction have?
The x plus 1.
X plus 1,
So
so
it
it
just needs a
needs the
2x.
2x. So what is 2x times 3x?
6x.
6x. What's x times x?
Squared.
Squared. 6x squared. Copy your minus. Oh, this is gonna be
It
hard.
needs the x plus 1. So,
It-
5.
But you need to do parentheses because you gotta distribute.
5.
X plus 1
Now we're ready.
equals.
It needs x plus 1.
It needs x plus 1,
So
so you're gonna
3
distribute that one.
times X plus 1.
Okay.
6x
Wait.
squared.
Okay, this is gonna be a complicated one. Just warning you.
6x squared
Minus.
minus 5x. 6 plus 1.
What?
Plus 5.
Not plus 5 either. Negative 5 times.
Negative 5.
Minus 5.
Okay. Equals what?
3x plus 3.
All right. Now, okay, now look, we got us quadratic because we got an x squared over
Like
here.
terms.
So we got to get like terms over there to the x squared. So I subtract the 3x, and it goes with the negative 5x, right?
So 6x squared.
I'm not done yet. And then I got to move the 3. I subtracted it, and it goes with the negative 5, right? So now tell me what that gets.
6x squared
Uh-huh.
minus 8x minus 8
equals
equals
0.
0.
All right. Now, our first F word of the day is fractions. And this next one, we're going to have to do factoring.
Yay. No.
And if you notice, it's a trinomial with the leading term not a 1, so you got to do it the long way that we learned way back in the day.
The first one, is it mine?
It's first times last.
Yeah, first time.
So we're going to make our table. Multiply to get first times last. 6 times negative 8 is negative 48. And add to get negative 8. So we need two numbers that multiply to get negative 48 and add to get negative 8. They need to be a negative and a positive. And since we add to get a negative, the first number, or the biggest number, will be negative. What multiplies to get 48, peeps? Very good. And that's the one that we're looking for. Because if I add them, do I get negative 8? Very good. He is a multiplication whiz.
Math genius.
He knows his multiplication tables really well.
Math
Okay, so when we factor with the leading term not a 1, we split the middle term into these two terms, but we give them an x. So that's going to be 6x squared minus 12x plus 4x minus 8. Keep that equal 0 there. And then we got 4 terms over there. So do y'all remember that factoring with 4 terms, we do factor by grouping.
Yes, ma'am.
Group the first, group the last. The GCF in the first group is 6x. They both got an x. And what times 6x is 6x squared? X. Minus what times 6x is 12x? 2. Plus my GCF in this group is what, y'all? 4. And what times 4 is 4x? And what times 4 is negative 8? Negative 2. And both parentheses are the same. So I've got an x minus 2 and the other one. And then, yeah, equals 0. And then you just set both of those equal to 0. And we'll come over here and do that. So x minus 2 equals 0 and 6x plus 4 equals 0. That's going to add 2 and get x equals 2. This one you're going to subtract 4. 6x equals negative 4. Divide by 6, and that reduces to negative 2/3. So that's a really long one. You ain't going to have many like that one. Trust me. All right. Now let me look back at what we did. I skipped one of my examples. It's an easier one, though. Okay, so we'll go back to it. So y'all want to do one that's easier than that now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Well, I just want you to have one of every type you're going to see on your homework. 3 over 2 plus 4 over x minus 1 equals x plus 1 over x minus 1. So the first thing we do is find the least common denominator. Part of it is 2. And then the other one is x minus 1. So you just need all your different denominators and your least common denominator. Does that make sense?
Sign on both sides.
And then we multiply it on both sides. 2 times x minus 1. And then on both sides. So 2 times x minus 1. So the first fraction, 3 over 2, has what part of it? It's already got the 2.
So you got to need the x minus 1.
And so we'll distribute that. So 3 parentheses, x minus 1. Plus, the 4 already has the x minus 1, so it needs the what?
2.
2. And what's 4 times 2?
8.
8. equals, this one already has the what?
X minus 1, so
It needs the what?
2.
2. But I still got to distribute that because it. Now this one's not going to be so bad because I'm not going to have an x squared anywhere. So it's not going to be quadratic. I won't have to factor this.
3x minus 3
Keep going.
plus 8 equals 2x plus 2.
So he distributed that for me.
Like terms.
And then those are like terms. That's right. So 3x plus 5 equals 2x plus 2. Then what?
Subtract the 2 from both sides.
What's 3x minus 2x? Yeah. That's just 1. Yeah. So x plus 5 equals 2. Subtract 5 and x equals -3. That one was nice and easy because you didn't have to factor. We got one more example, guys. That's it. Promise. See, here we are. Okay. All right, so number 8. Lucky number 8's my favorite number. So 1 minus 8 over x minus 5 equals 3 over x.
These come in not 1.
So this one don't have a denominator at all, does it?
Put over 1.
We can. So what do we have in the least common denominator, though, y'all?
We got an X.
And an x minus 5. So all your denominators go in your common denominator. So we're going to multiply everything times x minus 5. It needs both of them, don't it? But okay, question. What's 1 times anything?
1.
No. Itself, right? So 1 times x is x. And 1 times x minus 5 is x minus 5. So I need both of them. So I'm just going to say x times x minus 5. Right? I need all of it.
Yeah. And you got the X minus 5, but you just need the X.
So what's 8 times x?
X squared.
No. 8x.
Yeah.
Yeah. Equals. This one has the x, so what does it need?
The X minus 5.
So it's 3 times x minus 5. And so we need to distribute on both sides. So what's x times x over here?
X squared.
X squared.
Minus 5.
And what's x times negative 5?
5x.
Negative 5x. And I'm copying minus 8x because it don't have anything to do with the parentheses. Yeah. All right, like terms.
Negative 2x. 2x.
What do you do?
I'm bringing up 3x.
Not yet, because I got like terms right there.
Where?
So that's negative 13x.
Yeah.
Okay. Equals 3x.
Yeah.
So I'm going to subtract 3x. Sorry. Y'all with me?
Yeah. Negative.
That ain't that. They're both the same 9. So I add them. So that's negative 16x. So x squared minus 16x plus 15 equals 0 because I got everything on that side. Now that's a trinomial we can factor. I need 2 numbers that multiply to get 15 and add to get negative 16. Can y'all tell me what does that?
15, negative 15, negative 1.
Very good, Mr. I Can't Factor. Now this is a nice one because the leading term is a 1. And with the leading term being a 1, you can go straight from table to your answer. So that's x minus 15 times x minus 1 equals 0. So now you're all factored. So you
X equals 15, x equals 1.
That's right. You just set them both equal to 0. X equals positive 15. X equals positive 1. Okay. And that is the end of the lesson for today. I'm going to go ahead and put the assignment right here. and record it so that the people that aren't here today at school on this Friday, the 13th, 2018, can get their homework assignment from the video. So we're going to do page 593 for practice. Problems 4 through 7, 14, 15, 17, 18, 20, 21, and 23. So notice that I skipped around because some of those I didn't think were going to be fun to do.
Yeah, you shouldn't give up that much.
So that's the end of the recording for today. Have a good one.